Okay, so this is my first attempt to record this video, and I hope it will be the last. Anyways, let's go ahead and see how to use Terrain Mixer. As you already know, it is available on various platforms, uh, Blender Market, Gumroad, and so on. Before I open the file, I just want to stress out that it is really important that you go through the manual here, and if you need more information, there are videos available on YouTube. So for example, for the installation, here's the video, and also here's the playlist. You can find it here. The problem with the playlist on YouTube is that some of the videos here are outdated, as you can see. So you have to scroll all the way down, and the videos that are not marked as outdated are good videos to watch. So this maybe 10, 15 videos here. Okay. Uh, Regarding the folder structure, as I already said, you can watch the video about installation and everything. But regarding folder structure, when you download all the files, you will have the Terrain Mixer directory, and this is what's inside of it. And the next important directory is, of course, the assets directory. So when you open it, you'll have something like this here. The most often thing that users ask is what goes where. So, because what you download are zip files, and uh, inside the assets directory, when you first download this root file, and when you open assets, it looks like this. It doesn't look like this. So, and of course, there's a difference. Let me just zoom this. And as you can see, you have these 3D scans and curve objects and ground geo. This is because all these assets needs to be downloaded from the store and placed here inside the assets directory. So, for example, you have height maps here, but you don't see them here. But you do see here height map 16K. And this is just because so you know where those multiple directories go inside, because 16K height maps are much larger, and they have their subdirectories. But come back to this video, pause it if you need, or watch that other installation video and just see what goes where. In the end, your directory will look like this, your assets directory will look like this, and not like this. So let's go and open first file, and that will be Terrain Mixer, shader-based version that for now works only in Cycles, because Cycles supports shader-based displacement, and Eevee still doesn't, but I think it will in the future. Anyway, so let's go here. This is Blender Launcher. If you don't use it already, make sure to download it, because it's a lot easier to open various versions of Blender. And let's launch Blender. So let's see. Okay, I'll have to search for it. Open. Erosion Mixer is the new product, new tool for Terrain Mixer. Let's see, Terrain Mixer. Okay, this is the file, and let's open it and see what we got. Okay, so first thing you need to do is go here and press this viewport shading button, and this is what you'll see. You can turn off the instructions collection because you don't need it. And also what we can check is that the render engine is cycles and the GPU compute is selected. This is set by default in the file. And also you can go to edit, preferences, and check your system. It should be, I recommend using CUDA, optics sometimes, but I prefer CUDA. And this is my graphic card. So this is also something I would recommend go with at least this kind of graphic card. It should work on the weaker cards as well, but you know, for smooth work, you should use something a bit better. And this is by no means the best card out there. So, what I use this version of Terrain Mixer is for mixing terrain to be able to bake it. So, here is the big menu with properties. You can scroll it down. And I won't go through all of this because it just doesn't make sense to go through all of this. I'll just explain the logic. And you can also find more info about it in the manual and also inside the instructions directory. You will find a few PNG screenshots which explain the logic. But what's going on here is that we have height inputs that mix together. So we have 4 of them, but we can mix up to 8 of them. And if you don't like those height inputs, you can change them with other ones from the assets directory inside height maps and 16K height maps directories. So we can change those height inputs. You will see how it works a bit later when I go to the terrain mixer plus nodes viewport. But let's see. So we have height mix 1 and 2. This mixes 2 height inputs. So if I go here, this will happen. And if I go here, this will happen. I can show you what happens if I switch the input. So I have input 1 and 2 here. And input 1, I can switch the value between 2 different height sources. So I can go like this. And then I have other source as a height input 1. So you see, this is all the way I slide it all the way to 1. Now I see the height input 2, and whatever I do here won't be visible. Okay. But if I go all the way to 0, then I can switch between 2 options I have for the height input 1. I know it's a bit confusing now, but this is what I said at the beginning, that you have actually 2 height sources, height inputs that you can choose from. If you just keep all these on 0, you don't have to worry much about anything. But, you know, these are the height sources, and these are their alternatives here, which you can switch to and mix it here. These are actually height map switches between those 2 options for the height input 1. So see this as this whole group, see it as a height input 1, and see this whole group as a height input 2, 3, 4, with 2 options inside of them that you can switch between. So this here, I can invite this menu that we had previously here as well. So this here, the switch here is this slider here. So okay, we can even show what's going on here. You see here this purple value, and if I do this, you see how it changes. Okay, and yeah, that's basically it. So now I can combine this height mix 1 2 with the height mix 3 and 4. See, and under the C, you will see that height mix 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are combined by the value of 0.5. If I go all the way down, now only the mix between 1 and 2 will be visible, right? And if I move this, nothing will happen. If I go all the way up to 1, only this will be visible, and nothing will happen here. So this is the most important thing to remember when using this version of Terrain Mixer. Now, I also have some blending options, which you may know from programs like Photoshop or whatever photo editing software you're using. These are blend options. So you won't see, it doesn't say here like multiply or overlay, but that's essentially what it is. So if I just scroll like this, you will see some drastic changes happening to your terrain. But I won't do that now. Let's move to other sliders. And by hovering over it and pressing backspace, I can set it to default value. And this is what it is. Now, let's see some other options what you can do. Now, if I go to the input one, clip bottom, clip top, mirror X, mirror Y, mirror Z. Power, rotation, scale, these are all values for input one. This is input one. This is mix between input one and input two. So let's do this. Let's try what clip does. Let's see what clip does from the top. Now mirror on the x-axis. And mirror on the y-axis. Mirror on the z-axis. Power. Rotation. So we're just rotating the input one. And since we have this value between input 1 and input 2, this mixed value set to 0.5, this means that we still see input 2 on top of it, right? And if I would turn it down all the way here, and now if I rotate or do any other change, so we don't see input 2 on top of it anymore, right? So if I would go back here to clip, top, you see how it looks different than it does when I set this to 0.5. And you'll probably be using these sliders, these first 20 sliders, the most. Here are also some other options. These are just repeating for other inputs up to input 4. We also have this mask geo, also something which is rather easy to understand. It's called scatter master, and basically it scatters other height inputs, which you can also change from inside the node tree. So the same logic applies. You go and find a height source that you like, Okay, now let's move forward. Here you will see we have a bunch of modifiers which control different aspects of your terrain design. But I will jump all the way down to this texture control modifier and enable it just so we can see how we can procedurally texture this terrain. And if you go here again, this is where all the texturing is happening in this area over here. All of these nodes, they are plugged in this uh, shader node groups and other nodes are actually the sliders that control what is going on here. Of course, you can manually, let me just turn on the render preview. Of course, you can manually change some things here. So for example, uh, what we are previewing now is this one called rock plus snow slash grass slash sand, and it goes all the way here to the render output. If you want to free up some power, your machine power, and work a bit faster, you can do, for example, here and work with this material. So you're only focused on the form, right? So you can change. There are different colors to choose from. You see, but since we're talking about texturing now, we don't want to do that. We're gonna test what can we do with texturing. And if I open this texture control modifier options sliders, there are also a bunch of sliders that you can play with like this. This also affects the surface texture of your terrain. Now, when you're happy with what you have done with your terrain, you can bake it. You can either bake height map, and the instructions are inside the manual, and we also have a separate video that explains baking, I think, very well. You can bake normal map just by changing this material outputs. As mentioned, there are some other modifiers here which you can play with. So I already mentioned the mask geo custom. So there are also some sliders that can help you, with your design solutions or intentions. You can change the type of mask. So every change you make will also affect your uh, final height map that you want to bake from this terrain, right? Let's see. Let's visualize it like this, right? Okay. These other options that you have here, you can, you know, play with it. I can make another video. I mean, I can show you this plain terrain. So this is additional terrain. I have also mentioned it in a few videos. So let's see. Let's move it like this, and let's go down all the way here. This plain terrain can kind of help you uh, design close-up shots depending on what you want to do. So if I go here and change this viewport to, I don't know, shader editor, this is what controls the look and feel of the terrain. So if you know, change this outputs, for example, you know, like something like this, it will also affect the terrain. So anyways, and of course, if you go inside by pressing tab, you will find all the node groups, you know, that help you uh, design this plain terrain. But this might be a topic for another video, and I don't want to spend too much time here explaining that. So let's close this and let's go inside Terrain Mixer GN version, which means that it's based on geometry nodes, and I think it's, I'll turn this off. I think it's a lot easier to use, but I always keep going back to this original version, shader-based version. However, this is really easy to use because there is no big menu. Everything is happening here inside the modifiers list, and this is the most important one, the most important geometry nodes based modifier, where you actually do the same thing that we did previously. You kind of mix between the inputs, different inputs, and those inputs are, you can see them here, and you can also change them here in case you have already imported them as maps inside this file. So you can do this by adding new texture and open it up, or you can go inside uh, the node setup for this modifier. So if I select this modifier and I go here, you will see the nodes that are used. So if I select this one, then it changes. If I select this one, it changes. So if I go here, and if I want to change the height inputs, so these two height inputs are here, I will have to, you know, temporarily unplug them, like so, and go here and find the height input that I want to replace them with. Okay, let's move forward. So there are also other options for you to play with, similar as in the previous file. You have these additional elements or objects or whatever, like masks and so on, that you can use in combination with some of these modifiers, geometry-based modifiers. So this guest inputs is available in both versions. Are also height inputs that you can change, and these are the uh, controllers that control them. You can see them here. So, for example, uh, now we have this guest input selected. I will take controller 1 and move it around by pressing G, and you see what is going on with it. So if I want to apply some effect, like so, it will be visible right away. And again, if I want to move it, I select the controller and move it. We can also preview it in the with the material. I can rotate it, elevate, clipped from top and bottom, and all kinds of things. Uh, so I suggest that you select these different types of modifiers and open them and play with them. You know, we have all kinds of masks, curve-based masks, texture-based masks, all kinds of stuff. Instances. I have to mention these instance options. They will work fine. You know, you can replace these objects with your own. So your instance here, we have this icosphere plugged in, but you can plug your own object, you know. So just link it from here or drag and drop it from the outliner. And this works fine. It's not as advanced as some other plugins that you have, like Geoscatter or that kind of stuff, but it will work, you know, for basic, for, you know, instancing some rocks or even some foliage, or, you know, all this kind of stuff. Uh, it can do a good job. So, but what's cool about Terrain Mixer is that it has a lot of assets, and a lot of them are ready to use assets. You have like 3D scans that you can place inside the scene. You have various, you know, like curve objects. You really just you literally just place it here, you know, and it works. I know for the new beginners, for Blender noobs, uh, everything looks a bit scary, and I myself, I'm learning this program every day, you know, because it's, you know, like it's three-dimensional, it's 3D. So, but that's also a fun part, you know, you learn. So feel free to get in touch. I could make a full-blown course on, you know, terrain creation and environments and so on, but I really don't know if there's enough interest for this kind of thing. So one last thing. So I just placed this terrain here, and it's interesting because it gives you a lot more power when it comes to texturing than uh, maybe not more a lot more power, but it's a lot easier to understand. For the moss and the soil, you have this group, and all the controls are here in these two set of sliders, here and here. So for example, moss saturation, you know, moss hue, uh, rotating it on terrain based on the normal. And this is mask groups that help you get all these tiny little details. That's what you control with these mask groups. So I can preview it like this as well. There are 5 masks to play with it. And all these smaller nodes are actually, used for blending. And the cool thing about this is that it's really, really, really easy to, change the appearance of your material. I can play with snow as well. So here it is, snow. And I can also change the color, so it doesn't have to be snow. It can be something else. For example, let's like add this and this. So same thing, we can play with the coverage, change the border roughness, play with the position, will it only be on one side? For example, if the snow and the wind blowing from this side. So play with this. This material, together with the new tool that I mentioned at the beginning, the erosion mixer, is also available here. And this product called AAA Terrain, 16K AAA Terrains. This is a new product. So here you have all kinds of terrains, and new ones will be added as well. And they're all 16K. A few of these are also available in Terrain Mixer, but uh, at 8K resolution. These are 16K, and there are already 24 of them, and new ones will be added soon. That's it. Check the manual, check the videos, and you'll be all good.